At 82 years old, Dr. Jan Pol rises with the sun, the crisp Michigan air filling his lungs as he steps onto the vast 350-acre farmland he now calls home. Gone are the chaotic mornings of clinic calls, barking dogs, and emergency farm visits. In their place is a softer soundtrack, rustling corn stalks, mooing cattle, and the occasional cluck from roaming chickens. This is not a retirement, it's a reinvention. After 24 successful seasons of The Incredible Dr. Pol, the Dutch-born veterinarian shocked fans when he announced the end of the beloved series in 2024. For many, it seemed the end of an era, but for Dr. Pol, it marked the beginning of something more personal, a return to his roots. "I'm not the kind of person who can just sit around," he says with a chuckle, his thick Dutch accent still intact after 5 decades in America. "Some people retire to play golf. Me? I go back to the farm." The decision to step away from the camera wasn't made lightly. The show had become a global hit, earning millions of loyal viewers and transforming a humble vet into a household name. Yet, even with the fame and success, Pol remained remarkably grounded. And now, with his son Charles, producer of the original show, by his side, the Pol family has shifted focus from treating animals in a clinic to raising them on a working farm. This new chapter isn't just about nostalgia. It's about legacy. Charles envisions the incredible Pol farm as a place where families can reconnect with nature, learn about agriculture, and experience the rhythms of rural life. For Dr. Pol, it's a full-circle moment, a chance to teach the next generation the same values that shaped him: hard work, compassion, and respect for all creatures. From the barn to the broadcast booth and now back to the land, Dr. Jan Pol's journey proves that some legends don't fade. They simply find new soil to grow in. Long before he became a television icon or a celebrated veterinarian, Jan Pol was just a barefoot boy running through the fields of Wateren, a small Dutch village where the windmills turned slowly and life moved with the seasons. Born in 1942 during the bleak days of World War II, Jan was the youngest of 6 children in a farming family that valued hard work, resilience, and above all, care for the land and its creatures. Daily chores started before sunrise. While his older siblings hauled hay and milked cows, young Jan would crawl into tight spaces under barns to rescue trapped animals or slip his small hands under brooding hens to gather eggs. He was a natural, observant, gentle, and endlessly curious. His father recognized the spark early on, trusting Jan with delicate tasks like bottle-feeding calves and nursing weak piglets. But it wasn't just the animals that shaped him. The village itself was a living classroom. Neighbors shared harvests, traded tools, and pitched in during hard times. His mother, known for her kindness, often took in injured strays, and young Jan watched closely as she gently cared for each one. Their small home, filled with mewing kittens and chirping birds, was where his compassion was born. One brisk autumn morning in 1954, a life-changing moment arrived. At just 12 years old, Jan helped deliver a litter of piglets. As each squealing life entered the world, something clicked. Covered in straw and sweat, he felt an indescribable joy. "That's when I knew," he would later say. "Helping animals, that was what I was meant to do." This seed of purpose, planted in the soil of his Dutch upbringing, would eventually grow into a global legacy. But first, fate had to carry him across the Atlantic, to a small town in Michigan where his future was waiting. In 1961, Jan Pol's world expanded far beyond the windmills of Wateren when he joined a foreign exchange program that landed him in the small town of Mayville, Michigan. Culture shock hit immediately, from the language to the wide-open spaces to the towering American barns. But amid the newness, he found something familiar: animals, and a quiet American girl named Diane Dalrymple, who shared his love for them. Though he eventually returned to the Netherlands, the impression of Michigan, and of Diane, lingered. Determined to forge a future that combined his passion and his heart, Jan pursued veterinary medicine at Utrecht University. He excelled quickly, blending academic knowledge with his real-world experience on the farm. His professors noted his natural ability to stay calm during intense procedures and his rare empathy toward animals. While studying, Jan and Diane exchanged letters filled with dreams, questions, and encouragement. Their long-distance connection deepened, and by 1971, diploma in hand, Jan made a bold decision. He left behind the canals and cobblestones of his homeland and boarded a flight back to America, holding nothing but his degree, a suitcase, and the hope of a new life. Soon after, he and Diane married and planted their roots in rural Michigan. The young couple lived modestly, bound by love and shared ambition. Jan began working for a local clinic where his no-nonsense, hands-on approach stood out. Unlike many veterinarians who preferred sterile offices and controlled environments, Jan didn't hesitate to wade through mud or brave a blizzard to save an animal. That dedication would soon lay the foundation for something incredible. An empire built not from wealth or ambition, but from trust, sweat, and one little garage in a small Michigan town. It was 1981 when Dr. Jan Pole and Diane turned their modest garage in Weidman, Michigan, into a makeshift veterinary clinic. The oil-stained floor still smelled faintly of gasoline, but that didn't matter. Rural farmers didn't need marble countertops or gleaming exam rooms. They needed someone who would answer the phone at 3 a.m. and drive through a snowstorm to deliver a calf. And that's exactly who Dr. Paul was. Diane ran the front office, answered phones, and kept patient records with a notebook and a smile, while Dr. Paul handled everything else, from surgeries and farm calls to home visits. He drove his beat-up truck across back roads and cornfields, always on call, always on the move. Word spread fast. The Dutch vet never turned anyone away. He'd show up for emergencies that others declined. He'd sit with a crying child as their puppy took its last breath. He'd wade into freezing ponds to rescue livestock. His accent, practical attitude, and relentless drive made him a local legend. Farmers would shake their heads and say, "That guy's tougher than a $2 steak." As the clinic's reputation grew, so did its client list, from a few dozen to thousands across the region. Dr. Paul's dedication to animals wasn't about ego or income. It was about doing what needed to be done, even when it was hard. In 2011, the world finally caught on when his son Charles pitched their story to Nat Geo Wild. Cameras rolled, and the incredible Dr. Paul was born. Yet even with millions watching, Dr. Paul never changed. He still answered every call like it might be his neighbor, because in his mind, it always was. From an oil-stained garage to the heart of America, Dr. Paul built more than a business. He built a legacy rooted in grit, compassion, and old-fashioned reliability. By the time the incredible Dr. Paul debuted in 2011, Dr. Jan Pole was already a household name in his Michigan community. But with the launch of the show, his reputation exploded beyond rural barns and small-town clinics into living rooms across the world. Viewers were instantly captivated by the no-frills, straight-talking vet who could wrangle a 2,000-pound bull in one scene and gently stitch a kitten's paw in the next. Produced by his son Charles, the show was a surprise hit. What started as a small documentary concept became a TV juggernaut, running for 24 seasons and drawing millions of loyal viewers. The Paul family earned between $30,000 to $40,000 per episode, money that could have transformed their lifestyle overnight, but it didn't. While celebrities in similar positions bought mansions, luxury cars, and exotic vacations, Dr. Paul stuck to his roots. He still drove the same truck, wore the same scuffed boots, lived in the same modest house. When asked why, he'd shrug and say, "If it still works, why change it?" Instead of spending wildly, he invested quietly, mostly in land and practical assets. His income went toward expanding his clinic, supporting his children, and preparing for a future that wasn't promised. His fame never changed his mission: care for the animals, support the farmers, and stay true to the community that built him. Even with television cameras rolling, he remained focused on what mattered most. The fame was nice, but it was never the goal. As Dr. Paul often said, "I didn't become a vet to be on TV. I became a vet to help animals, and I'm not done yet." Behind Dr. Paul's famous smile and tireless energy lies a story of personal heartbreak few fans ever see. While his clinic thrived and cameras documented his every move, the Paul family was facing pain that no amount of fame could shield. Dr. Paul and Diane always dreamed of a large family. When they couldn't have biological children, they opened their hearts through adoption. First came Diane Jr. in 1973, then Kathy shortly after, and finally Charles in 1979. Together, They created a warm, love-filled home built on compassion and resilience. But that love would be tested again and again. In 2016, tragedy struck when Kathy's husband, Gregory Butch, died after a long battle with cancer. A kind, intelligent man who shared Kathy's quiet strength. His loss was devastating. Dr. Paul supported his daughter through every stage of grief, often driving hours to Bay City just to be near her. Then came an unthinkable blow. In September 2019, their beloved grandson, Adam, Kathy's son and a rising pharmacy technician, died unexpectedly at just 23 years old. A bright light gone far too soon. His passing left the entire family shattered. The man who had always appeared indestructible on screen now carried a quiet sorrow. Clients noticed he lingered longer after appointments. He asked more questions, spent a little extra time comforting grieving pet owners. The loss had changed him, and yet he kept going, not out of denial, but out of devotion. Each animal he saved, each family he helped, it became a tribute to Adam, to Greg, to the love that never faded. For Dr. Paul, compassion wasn't just a professional quality. It was the armor he wore into life's toughest battles. While Dr. Paul may be the face millions recognize, those who know the family best understand the real heartbeat of the operation has always been Diane. His wife, partner, and unwavering anchor for over 50 years, Diane has quietly shaped every corner of the Paul legacy. From the early garage clinic days to managing the booming practice during the height of the TV show, Diane has worn many hats: receptionist, office manager, counselor, and mother figure to staff and clients alike. She answered midnight calls from frantic pet owners, kept detailed records with old-school precision, and ensured the clinic ran smoothly even in chaos. But in 2024, the dynamic shifted when Diane faced a major health crisis. Severe back problems required extensive surgery and a long, painful recovery. For the first time, the woman who had supported so many needed support herself. Dr. Paul didn't hesitate. He rearranged his schedule, took fewer appointments, and became Diane's full-time caregiver. The same hands that had delivered calves in icy barns now carefully helped her out of bed, made meals, and ensured she had everything she needed. It was a side of Dr. Paul fans rarely saw: tender, patient, quietly devoted. He wasn't saving cows or stitching wounds. He was holding his wife's hand through the most vulnerable chapter of her life. "I owe her everything," he once said. None of this, none of it, would have happened without Diane. Their story is more than one of shared work. It's one of shared dreams, shared grief, and unshakable love. As Diane healed, the Paul legacy grew even stronger, not because of television fame or professional success, but because of the quiet strength they had always found in each other. As the final season of the incredible Dr. Paul wrapped in 2024, many assumed Dr. Paul would finally slow down. At 82, after treating over 25,000 animals and starring in one of the longest-running reality shows in TV history, surely it was time to rest. But Dr. Paul had other plans. Instead of riding into retirement, he leaned into his roots, literally. With Charles at his side, the Paul family began transforming 350 acres of untouched land into a fully functional, multi-generational working farm. Dubbed the Incredible Paul Farm, it was more than a retirement project. It was a vision for the future. "We wanted to reconnect with where it all began," Dr. Paul said, walking through rows of newly planted corn. "This is how I grew up, working the land, caring for animals. It feels right." The land is alive with promise. Modern barns stand next to rustic fencing. Chickens peck near solar panels. Cattle roam beside young fruit trees. It's a place where past and future meet. Charles, ever the creative mind, envisioned the farm as more than just an agricultural operation. It would be an immersive experience where families could visit, learn, and engage with animals and farming life. From hands-on animal care lessons to sustainable farming workshops, the farm blends education with tradition. Dr. Paul's grandchildren now drive tractors and help with chores, echoing their grandfather's boyhood in the Netherlands. For Charles, it's about building a legacy, forging a connection between generations that goes beyond TV ratings or internet fame. The cameras may be off, but the work continues, quietly, purposefully, and with heart. This time, it's not for the spotlight, it's for family. Dr. Paul's career has always been defined by practicality and purpose, but as he looks out over the farmland he now calls home, there's something deeper driving his every move: legacy. Unlike many TV personalities who chased fame, Dr. Paul used his success to quietly create stability for his family. His net worth, estimated around $1.5 million, wasn't poured into fast cars or flashy homes. Instead, he invested in farmland, rental properties, and educational trusts for his grandchildren. Each financial decision was made with long-term care in mind. After losing grandson Adam in 2019, the importance of security hit harder than ever. "You never know when life will turn," he once said, "but you can make sure your family has a net to catch them." From his modest home to the used equipment still running in his clinic, Dr. Paul's frugality has never been about stinginess. It's about values. He buys what lasts, invests in what matters, and saves for those he loves. The 350-acre farm now functions as both a passion project and a financial safeguard. It's land that will feed generations, provide income, and hold the family close to its roots. It's not just dirt and crops, it's legacy, layered into every row of corn and hoofprint in the mud. Dr. Paul never set out to be wealthy. He set out to help animals. But in doing so, with love, sacrifice, and unrelenting grit, he's created a foundation stronger than any bank account. As the sun rises over the fields of Wademan, Michigan, Dr. Jan Paul begins his day not with the buzz of a clinic phone, but with the rustling of leaves and distant lowing of cattle. At 82, his pace is slower, his steps more measured, but his spirit remains unchanged. He is still the same farm boy from Wateren, the Dutch village that taught him resilience. Still the young vet who arrived in America with little more than a diploma and a dream. Still the man who answered emergency calls at 2 a.m. because someone's animal was in pain. What's changed is the scope of his impact. He's inspired millions, not just pet lovers or farmers, but anyone who's ever faced hardship and kept going. His story is proof that greatness doesn't always roar. Sometimes it wears muddy boots, drives an old pickup, and speaks with a thick Dutch accent. For Dr. Paul, retirement is not an end. It's a shift, from healing animals to healing the land, from caring for clients to nurturing his family, and from working in front of cameras to working with the soil. There are no red carpets here, no awards on the walls of his barn. But ask anyone in town, and they'll tell you, Dr. Paul built more than a veterinary clinic. He built a life of meaning, a legacy of love, and a path for others to follow. As he watches his grandchildren run through fields he once dreamed of owning, a smile crosses his face. Not because of what he's accomplished, but because of what he's passed on.
This is the story of Dr. Jan Paul. Not just the incredible vet, but the incredible man behind it all.